Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Ranger Show on Africam TV. My name is Russell Gerber and it's such a pleasure to be back with all of you. Back from a little visit to the bush. Amazing trip up into Botswana and Kruger. It was such a pleasure to be out there again with all these amazing animals. But as always, it's great to be back on the Africams, checking out the abundance of animals we've been getting at the waterholes. Now that things are so dry, you can see this beautiful dazzle of zebra here. And a quick hello to Minnesota. Welcome. Diane and Philippe from France, welcome back. It's great to have you back with us. Remember to pop in your name in your comments, just so that I know who I'm talking to. We've got a great show lined up for you today. Of course, we'll be popping through the various live cameras, seeing whatever might come on down. And a few highlights from the last few days and the weekend. As always, if you guys have any questions, please do pop those through. You know I always love chatting to you, so anything on your mind or anything you've seen on the cams, I'll do my best to answer those questions for you. Stephanie, good to have you back. Thank you for the warm welcome. Magda, good to hear you back with us. And Maria from Minnesota. So thanks as always, folks. It's good to have you with us. As you can see on the cameras, things very, very dry at the moment. Tau in particular looking very grey and brown. Pretty typical colors for this time of year. Many of you will know as soon as those first rains start to arrive, the transformation of these areas is really magnificent. But the great benefit to us is that many more animals concentrate around the waterholes in this dry season, and that's why we're so spoiled with these different mammalian species and bird species, and of course a lot more predators around as well. Hope some of you managed to join us for the show yesterday, the Africam show on explore.org, where we had a little chat about the lions of Africam and went through some of our more commonly seen prides and individuals. Hello to Susie from Montana. Suki, good to have you back. I see things have been busy on the cameras while I've been away. Thank you to Phil for stepping in for me for the last few weeks. I have no doubt he played out of his boots and did a great job hanging out with all of you, as he always does. All the different species at the moment, really great. We've got impala, these blue wildebeest, Obviously, plain zebra. A couple of waterbuck hanging around at Tau. And hello, Pat from Florida. Welcome. You can hear those Egyptian geese calling in the background. It is truly the time of year that they are the most noisy. See these zebras jostling with each other, just sort of reinforcing the social bonds that are so important for the herds and harems. Let's head on over to Crocodile River. See what action we got there. I mentioned it looks really dry here at Tau. I know many of you have been with us for many years. Certainly from the beginning of this year would have noticed the significant difference of water level at Williefunds from the earlier parts of the year and the great rainy season we had. Things looking pretty dry now and not too much space for the crocodiles and hippos. And you see this croc has really made his or her home on the banks of the Williefunds. Yolandi asks, notice that the baboons around Williefunds River that we often see in the fig tree on the other side of the river are not roosting there at the moment as they did earlier in the year. She asks, do I know where they've gone? To be honest, Yolandi, I don't know exactly where they've gone in the reserve, but it's likely that they would be roosting in and around the trees that are fruiting at the moment. And jackalberry or African ebony would be one of the trees that you're seeing fruits on this time of year, and very much a lifeline for a number of the fruit-eating species. I'm sure the baboons are spending their time close to or around the big ebonies this time of year. Thank you for your question. Carrying on with our theme of chatting about the various line characters that we get on the cameras, we've got a lovely little highlight of one of our little leopardesses that we see from time to time. And we're going to dive right into that. And we've learned that this young female actually goes by the name of Watika. She was named by the Nkorho guides on April 20th in 2021. And she's a young female, just starting to establish her own territory, often adjacent to or near to her mother's territory. Her mother is a leopard by the name of Nkanyeni. And Watika is thought to be approaching 2 years old. We think she was born around December in 2019. And she was only seen for the first time in February in 2020. And it's not known if she has any siblings or litter mates. If she did have, we don't know them. We certainly weren't seen. And if they did survive, or if she did have siblings, I'm sorry, they probably didn't survive. But this is just a beautiful young female. You can see she's quite relaxed. Often some of our leopards very anxious when they come down for a drink. More often than not, you find the females are a little bit more calm than the males. You can hear that lapwing not happy with her presence so nearby. In the distant background, you can hear that Scops owl calling, one of my favorite bird calls. But a lovely little clip of the young Watika, which apparently means unpredictable one. And for those of you who don't know, one of the ways that leopards are identified is by the spot pattern above their whiskers. That is very true. You actually read it by the number of spots on either side of the nose, from left to right. And Watika is known as a 4-4 female. So it means she's got 4 spots on that top whisker line and 4 on the other side of her face as well. So we use those spots to help identify her. Also other features, like if they have any tears in their ears, the territories, of course, their sex. Those things help us to figure out which leopard we're looking at. That is the lovely Watika. So keep an eye out for her. We're back live now, of course, at Crocodile River again. Suki asks, when do the rains start? Things looking so very dry. Yeah, we've got a few more months, Suki. It's likely the rains will only start to arrive around November. Of course, stranger things have happened. Sometimes it is a little earlier. Sometimes a little later. It all just depends on the climate. Said Crocodile River, I think. We're back at Olifants River. Crocodile River is in Kruger Park, the southern part of Kruger. But let's leave Olifants for now and pop on over to Tembe. And Stephanie asks, in the meantime, I read crocodiles hold their mouth jaws open to keep cool. Is that true? It is very true, Stephanie. They do that to regulate temperature. One of the ways they cool down is by opening that mouth. Of course, they are what is known as poikilothermic or exothermic. They rely on external factors to maintain their body temperature. Looks like we've lost the Tembe feed for now. Well, in the meantime, let's cross over to another one of our highlights. And we're going to stick with our leopard theme. And stick with Olifants River. We've dubbed this leopard the Olifants River male. Some of the guides like to refer to the male leopards as toms. And this olifant's male is often seen doing territorial patrols along this pathway, on this game path. We've seen some other males here too, but he certainly seems to be one of the more dominant. You can hear a great example of him showing that dominance and announcing that he's in the area. You can see him scent marking as he goes as well. All typical behavior of a dominant male leopard. Remember, male leopards can have pretty large territories depending on the territory itself, how much prey is available, how many females are around, how many other males there are. Often from either 50 to up to 250 square kilometers, just depending on all those various factors. But a male will normally have a few females in their territory. And those territorial walks are really important for them. Back live now at Naledi. Our two Egyptian geese, peaceful for the time being. Let's check out the Nomad cam. I haven't popped over there in a while. I know we were fortunate enough to have a lion killed just before I left on my trip to the bush. Nomad cam, of course, for our premium subscribers. Often we will bring it into sightings that we otherwise wouldn't be able to get to. Not much around on the Nomad cam at the moment, but we've had a great view, or had a great view, of an African wildcat from the weekend as well, I think. And a beautiful little clip that we can show you now. Have a look around first and see what we've got. So here you see this wildcat, and so some of you might have caught it on the cameras. Actually captured what looks like a small rodent. It's difficult to tell exactly what it got. We've actually slowed it down when he lifts up the kill. But it looks to me like it's potentially a gerbil. There you can see in slow motion just those longer legs. Obviously difficult to tell exactly what species. The most common in that area is bushveld gerbil. But so amazing to be able to capture this on camera. Lundy asks, can you tell us more about the equipment installed to stream live footage? Costs and maintenance requirements for one location? Yolandi, it's a great question. We've actually done a chat about the cameras that you can find on the website, where I had a chat with Paul about the various Africam cameras and what's involved with that. There's a lot of good information there that you can go and check out. Back live at Naledi again. Thanks for your question, Yolandi. Pat asks, could the presence of leopards be the reasons that the baboons have left? It's possible, Pat, but if there was decent feeding for them in the area, it's unlikely that they would move on for the potential of leopards coming through. The leopards were there earlier this year, many nights, walk in that pathway in particular, and we heard the baboons alarm calling at them. So for them, they want to stay in the area as much as they can if there is food available. So I suspect they've moved on to areas where there are fruiting trees. Let's go to another highlight, which has been spoken about quite a lot on the Facebook page as well. This was of the ever popular honey badger. You can see it's eating something here, and we've got a few little clips linked together. This was over a few days, and we spotted it in the same area a few days in a row, and actually it spent some time laying by the waterhole at Nkorho. And it's not every day we get to see such incredible footage of one of the less seen mammals in the area. We got to enjoy this little badger for a few days, as I mentioned. And it looked like it was not doing too well by the waterhole for a few days. Now, it could also be a different badger that has come down over the few days, but it's likely to be the same one. But it certainly looked a little ill, and we postulated that perhaps it had eaten something that disagreed with its stomach, perhaps poisonous toad or frog. But it could also be the simple fact that perhaps this is an older badger. You can see the hip bone sticking out quite clearly there, so it's possible that it's just eking out an existence at this stage, trying to stay alive. But all we can do is a best guess at this stage. He hasn't been back since this, so I'm hoping that he managed to recover. But really special to have seen that amazing and very popular animal for the last few days on the cameras. And then Janice asks, I love seeing all the leopards, but rhinos seem to be so elusive. I've only seen one. Any idea why there are so few rhinos seen? Janice, it's a good question. The rhino numbers, unfortunately, have certainly dropped around southern Africa in the last decade or so, with the focused poaching on that particular species just being devastating to their overall numbers. Also, in many instances, the cameras try to stay away from viewing them so that we don't give away the location of the animals for potential poachers out there. And it's always a challenge bringing these live pictures. That's the reason why you often don't see the rhinos on the cameras. But they are certainly around in Kruger. Certainly the last real haven for black and white rhino in Africa, and some incredible conservation and anti-poaching teams that are helping to look after them. hear some people in the background. It's great to hear some people back in the bush. Yeah, as Suki said, looking really dry and a tough time for the grazers at Tau and various other locations. Let's head back to Willie Fun's, check on our crocodile. There's a plane flying overhead as well. What I think is a plane, anyway. We got another question. Do female leopards change territory to find another male, or do they stay with the same one? Another good question. Females tend to establish a territory based on availability of prey, competition from other females. Of course, they can't go into territories that are already occupied, so it all depends on how many leopards are around. To be honest, the territory decision is not really made on the availability of males, to be honest. They will simply find an area where they feel they can have the best chance of survival. And then once they have established that territory, they'll protect it pretty strongly from any potential invaders, other females, but are generally quite indifferent to different males moving through the area. And once they go into estrus or heat, the females will seek out the males. They will scent mark and let the male, will give the male the best possible signal that they are ready to mate. The male will eventually track her down. The two of them will often spend a few days, a week, sometimes a little longer together. Once the female is conceived, she will move off on her own and they will separate once again. Leopards, as many of you know, spend most of their life alone, solitary. Mom will have cubs, of course. Once the cubs are old enough to move on their own, and she will be alone again. And Pat asks another leopard question. Do male leopards get into violent fights like male lions? Yes, Pat, absolutely. They can kill each other from time to time. If the leopards are of a similar size and strength, the fights can be really quite gruesome. Sometimes mortal injury, or the dominant male would actually kill the intruder outright. Yeah, leopards are very aggressive when it comes to protecting their territory from intruder males. Certainly if they think they can win the fight, at least. If they don't think they can win, then normally they will back down and will have to give up that territory to the new male. Not much action happening here with our crocodile. Just taking it easy on a Wednesday afternoon. Pretty chilly around the bush at the moment. So he won't have lots of energy. Always nice to see them on the camera. Well, everyone, unfortunately, we're out of time for today. Thank you so much for all your questions and interaction. It's so much fun for me to chat about these things with all of you. And it's great to be back interacting with you all again. But we'll be back next week, same time, for the Rangers show. So please join us then. And of course, check us out for African for Good show tomorrow, 4 o'clock. That's brought to you by explore.org, where we'll be chatting about various conservation topics over the next few weeks. Thank you all once again, and we'll see you soon. Cheers for now.